Alright, exciting times. New ZBrush is out. Every time this happens, I don't know, 6 months they release a new version. I tend to recreate my custom UI every time, just because I see the things that I'm missing, I see the things that I want to improve, and overall, like I want to incorporate some of the new tools to my custom UI, right? So I don't want to just be building on top of what I already had, because it can get messy. So I just thought of sharing with you how I go about customizing my UI and my how I think about it for productivity's sake. So the two things that I consider are the tools I want to use, the tools I use the most, and maximizing viewport, right? Like I don't want my viewport, my having a custom UI that's invading my space here, especially vertically, because we all use widescreens, and the amount of space horizontally that we have to work, it's much larger than the vertical space. So I don't want to be cutting in off the vertical space. So those are the things I keep in mind when doing this. If you never did a custom UI, the way you get started is going by to preference, config, and enable customized. So you see some things pop around. All that means is now if I hold Control Alt, I can move stuff around. And it gives extra space if I want to put things there, right? Which I don't. So first things first, I really use my spacebar as for the brush settings. So because I use this for most of the time, I feel like having them on the top here is a little bit redundant. So let me just see. Options from draw, move, scale, rotate, I don't want them there, because I can just press spacebar and change it here. Brush intensity, size, focal shift, all that. Also, all those like RGB, Z-add, same thing, I don't want them up there. And I think lastly, there is a couple things that I keep brush related because they are not here, and those are the remember draw size and the remember dynamic mode per brush. So because they're not easily accessible on other panels, right? So I would like to keep them. So Control Alt and start dragging to the viewport to get rid of those. And by the way, I removed the poly count stuff because I can just hover over my tool and see the poly count. So another thing that I don't want to take space up there. And usually I'm not too worried about that to begin with. I like that this is here now. It wasn't before, I think. Replay less? Replay less. Huh. Was it there before? Interesting. Well, I'm gonna keep them, I think. We'll see. So, polycut's the first one to go. Focal shifts, draw size, the intensity, RGB intensity, all those I have on the spacebar. Here, because of the gimbal, I usually keep one of them here, just in case my keyboard is not working properly or whatever. So let's move this to the side. So I keep just one because with move I have all the others going with, right? So just the one is fine. And edit, I keep it there too, just because sometimes, if you turn off by mistake, I can have a visual reference if it's on and off for those two. And let's see. So alpha, M RGB, M, Z add, Z sub, all gone. Z cut, is it here? Z cut, yeah. So no reason to worry about that one. Okay, so I made a lot of space here already. I replayed the last. I don't think it was there before. Let me. At least on my previous custom UI, it wasn't like because I remember adding those. So I'm gonna keep them just closer here, so I have all this space to add the things I use the most. So what do I use the most? Let's start with polygrouping stuff and symmetry stuff. Those are the things that I find myself seeking all the time and not finding. So let's go and Mirth target as well, but the problem with Mirth target things is I usually need more and I don't want to put all this menu there, so I just come to the menu when I need it. Let's go to first symmetry stuff, right? Actually, geometry, modify topology, mirror and welds. That's a big one for me. I'm always looking at this one, and I'm gonna make it like put it. I think there is fine. Okay, mirror and weld is one, but mirror and weld always comes along with mirror itself, because so under deformation, mirror. So I like to have those two on top of each other because, well, mirror and weld sometimes it mirrors the wrong way, right? Like let's say you did some work on the right and you click on mirror and weld and you lose it because it's left to right always, right? Like screen left. So if I did some work on the right and I want to have that, I have to mirror first and then mirror and weld. So pretty simple, but pretty useful to have there. The other one that goes well together with this, especially if you already have some topology, because if you have topology, you don't want to be welding anything, right? Like it's going to destroy your, well, both your center line might be a little off and like your UVs and poly vertex ID and all that, like if you're already into production with the model. So for achieving symmetry without having to recreate half of the mesh, smart reseam is the way I go about it. So let's bring that there too. So mirror and weld, smart reseam, and I think those are my mirror buddies, my symmetry buddies. I'm trying to think if I use anything else to symmetry. I don't think so. But when I'm dealing with that, one thing that always comes to that I'm looking for is still here under modify topology, and that's the delete hidden. I'm always looking for this little guy here. I'm gonna put more to the side here, and I never use delete by symmetry, so I don't need that. And actually, let me put this here and get the poly groups and auto groups here. Okay, yeah, those are good. And out of those, I only put the auto groups there because usually I do Control W for grouping stuff, right? Like it's easier. But sometimes if I have multiple groups selected and they are the same group, I always go to auto groups to have them as separate groups. So pretty standard, but it's I don't like, because I use all the time, I don't like digging on the menus to find it. Okay, so all the other ones I use it, but not as frequently, so I don't mind going to the menu for those. Okay, so let me just think if there is other things. Sometimes I have the edge loop stuff here because I use this a lot when I'm doing hard surface. But the thing is, I use all those tools in conjunction, right? Like I almost go like masked border and then group loops and then panel loops. So they are already together here. The common theme for my custom UI is things that are used together that don't live together on the interface. So that's mostly the case. Not the case right now. So now to the new tools. The ones that I think I'm gonna use, and well, some of them came on the previous version already. So let's see here. Stager. I love this Stager. So Stager was on the previous version, but they added a few more things here, and I really like them. So home stage, important. Target stage, very important. So let me just see where stroke interpolate lives. Probably under stroke. Stroke. Yes. Okay, so replay last. Okay, so those are the ones that just last is there too. Stroke counts and interpolate are not. So it's gonna be interesting because they are all named the same here: interpolate and stage counts. And interpolate and stroke counts. Okay, that's a good meaningful difference there. Interpolate and stroke counts. Okay, like that. And okay, so a couple things that I forgot to add that I always have there. And actually, let me just put the home stage here. So it goes left to right, and I see this interpolate next to the replay last, and this interpolate next to the home stage. So it kind of, it's a little bit less confusing. And I'll leave some room here for my inflate deformer, because I use that quite a lot. So under deformation, inflate, does it fit? I wonder if there is a way to make those buttons smaller. Please, if you're watching this and you know how to make those buttons smaller, let me know. Because I don't, and I'm too lazy to look that up. Well, it's gonna be ugly, but I can live with it. Just, yeah, it's on top there of the auto thing there. Auto groups, but yeah, it's easy to use, so still, it's just a little bit ugly. Never mind. Not a big problem. Okay, still have space for one more thing there. And I should look at my old viewport to see what I'm missing, because I'm probably missing something that I use all the time. I used to have Dynamesh there, and with resolution and all that, I think that's too much to have up here. Let me just take a look again at the modify topology, mirror and well, delete hidden, is delete hidden there? Yes. Insert mesh, close holes. Well, I'm gonna leave it empty, and if I think of something else, I just add it here. What about brushes? Do I add brushes to my viewports? Yes, I do. I don't like adding them to the bottom here, because as I said, that's gonna reduce my viewport, and I'm on a pretty old Cintiq, so that's like my Cintiq I think is 11 years old, so my resolution is definitely not 4K on this one. Let me see here. Okay, so to add the brushes, I usually add here on the right panel next to this menu there. So and I just click on this tear down thing here. Actually, I prefer to put it here for now, just because it's next to where I'm gonna add. And the way I do it is usually I insert something a little bit bigger here to create more space. I know it's a hack, but it's a little bit of a hack, but ooh, that was too much. Let's find something. from mesh. No, let's see. Yeah, maybe just a brush. That's good enough, yeah. So, and I keep customizing these as I go, right? Like I'm gonna save when I'm done now, and then I just keep doing later on with different with stuff that I find myself seeking on the menus. I just start adding. And the good thing about redoing from scratch is the ones that I didn't remember or that I wasn't using as much, they just don't come back. and if I find anything here that, like, if I'm looking for space for something new and I'm not finding, and I see that, like, oh, it turns out I'm not using home stage over here that much, so I got rid of it, right? Okay, enough of that. So I like to go with my brushes on the order of importance. So Control Alt, drag, and put it here. What? Sorry, this didn't work. I need something bigger there. I think this slider was good enough. Not that I use this slider, but just to give me enough room there for my brushes. So move is the brush that I use the most. Okay, I can get rid of that now. There we go. Okay, move is the one that I use the most. Clay build up is pretty close. Dem standard is another one of my favorites. What else? Actually, standard brush I don't use as much, but it's good to have it there. Pinch. Actually, slash tree is one that's always hard to find because I never remember the hotkey for it, so it's good to have it there. Next, actually I'm gonna reorder this a little bit because I like to have slash tree next to them standard, because I usually use slash tree when them standard is not doing exactly what I want. Let's just take a look here. Clay buildup is there already. So yeah, I don't see myself using the clay brush itself that much anymore, so I'm not gonna put that one there. Train dynamic all the time. And H polish I don't use as much anymore. Okay, train dynamic. What's the other one? Pinch. P for pinch. There we go. Pinch goes there. Move topological. I use that frequently enough, but not enough to edit there. Inflate. Inflate's a good one to have. And I think I'm gonna end with those. So those are the major ones I use all the time. And I'm gonna end here with the insert primitives. And if I find myself looking for those brushes again, like using a brush that's not here all the time, I can just do it later. Okay, last thing I like to add here is color stuff, because I always use that. So okay, this is good, but one thing that I'm always going here for is fill object, so I like to add that there. And sweet. And is there anything else for color? I don't think so. No. Well, that's pretty much my custom UI. So the way for me to save this is, oh, just remember the other thing that I used to have there was the documents. Those things, do I add them now? Or I do use them frequently enough, so let's just see how many I can fit there. Let's see, front, back I don't use, right, and custom one. Perfect. If I had like a little bit more room, I would put the other custom one there, but not a big deal. And then like those are just for quick access, and then if I need to do anything else, I don't mind going through the menus to find it. All right, that's enough. So for me to save this viewport out, I go to again, preferences, turn off the enable customized, take a look around, I like it, and I will probably, as I start using this viewport, I will probably start adding more brushes here, and if I need more buttons, it's probably going to be down here, like under the fill object for the color. And then, so preferences, store. So if I click on store configuration, it's going to save this for my startup file. If I need to save this to use somewhere else, then I go and save UI, so I can have the same UI on another computer or whatever. I'm not gonna do that right now. I want to test this viewport before I put it on my laptop. And yeah, that's it.